If you're like me and you love web novels, you've probably noticed that dark fantasy is making a comeback. Stories like Shadow Slave, Lord of the Mysteries, Kill the Sun, and Reverend Insanity, for example, are taking over the scene. And in this video, we'll explore why these shadowy tales resonate so deeply right now, and why, in truth, dark fantasy might just be the most powerful kind of story fiction has to offer. So let's get right into the video. Let's start off by clarifying what is dark fantasy. Dark fantasy is fantasy, but darker, as you can guess by the name. It is infused with horror, dread, emotional realism, and moral ambiguity. It subverts the shining sword and sorcery tropes of traditional high fantasies. In classic fantasy, heroes are often paragons of virtue, and the line between good and evil is clear-cut. Dark fantasy, by contrast, delves into murkier waters. These worlds blend magic with gothic horror elements, shadowy realms where right and wrong blur, monsters lurk in every corner, and even the good guys carry darkness inside of them, like in the real world. The mood is ominous and foreboding. Unlike escaping to a utopia of easy triumphs, reading dark fantasy feels like venturing into a world as perilous and unpredictable as our own. In short, dark fantasy is fantasy viewed through a veil of dread. It thrives on grotesque details, emotional depth, grim settings, psychologically complex characters, and a dying world, and a sense that at any moment could turn violent or tragic in a heartbeat. And my personal favorite, there's no one to hold your hand or to nudge you to think, this is right and this is wrong. You're free to interpret it on your own. Because there's no black and white, more like grayish. Well, why do I say that my favorite genre is taking over the scene? Well, today's web novel scene is brimming with grim underworlds and anti-heroes. From the ruined cityscapes of Shadow Slave to the occult streets of Lord of the Mysteries. The most read web novels are all dark fantasy. In uncertain times, these murky tales have struck a chord with readers. Many recent novels put dark fantasy front and center. For example, I'm going to list a few of them. Shadow Slave, the most popular web novel ever, I'd argue. Sunny's story is set in a dystopian future. An orphan growing up in poverty. He never expected much from life. However, he's suddenly chosen by the mysterious nightmare spell and plunged into a ruined, magical realm crawling with deadly monsters. There, he becomes one of the awakened, people gifted with powers if they survive their nightmare. Sunny is no shining paladin, however. He's cynical, disillusioned, and has a bleak outlook on life. You know, as someone that grew up impoverished in the outskirts in a poisonous environment with no life expectancy, basically. He is cunning and ruthlessly pragmatic. He makes the hard choices most of us might have made in this situation, doing whatever it takes to survive those gory nightmares. The series has over 2,600 chapters and over 77 million views on Webnovel, and tons more out of it. And we have Lord of the Mysteries. Arguably, you can make the case this is the #1 web novel ever, the most popular one, but I go for Shadow Slave in my opinion. But Lord of the Mysteries is also banging, it's very good. In this genre-blending epic, our protagonist is Klein Moretti. Even the name is fucking cool. He awakens in an alternate Victorian-era city steeped in Lovecraftian horror and steampunk intrigue, and a Chinese youth from our world transmigrates into Klein's body after Klein's apparent suicide in that world. Pretty trippy. He finds himself in a gaslamp, London-like setting of occult magic, secret societies, and eldritch dangers. Oh, this tickles all my fancies. Pretty dark. The series became a legend in China, being ranked #1 on Kidian's web novel charts for months and amassing tens of millions of readers. It's so influential that it was selected as one of the only 144 web novels preserved in the National Library of China. A true cultural milestone. And what makes it better than the already good setting? Klein is no flawless hero, but a curious coward, let's say, a curious everyman thrust into nightmarish scenarios. He's scholarly, inquisitive. Yeah, Klein is a good guy. He investigates dark mysteries while trying his very best to survive in a world both of technology and the supernatural, in which death is way better than some of the scenarios that happen here. Then you have Kill the Sun. Oh, the darkest here. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, in which we follow Nick, a 16-year-old boy who wakes up with amnesia in the slums of a fungus-infested city where people are harvested every month for their blood in order to not die. Because in this world, humanity ekes out life in a hellscape overrun by horrific entities called specters. And in this world, humans are prey to these specters, monsters that gain power by causing human suffering, and in doing so generate a vital energy called Zephix. The twist? If humans kill a specter outright, the world just spawns an equally powerful new one. So instead of extermination, society has learned to contain and even cooperate with specters to survive. You see how dark this is. And also, for them to cultivate and get the specter's powers, they have to be tortured every day. So yeah, you could see how it's pretty dark. He has to fight tooth and nail, suffer. He lives on constant fight or flight, never knowing when he will die or when he will live. I can't underscore how dark it is. And these are just 3 I listed among many others. I won't bore you with more examples, but yeah, you have tons others like Reverend Insanity and Feng Yuan. This dude's straight up evil, not gonna lie. Then you have, for example, Sovereign of the Ashes, a Chinese tale of a boy surviving a deadly black magic academy in the underworld. City of Sin, I've made a video on this. Warlock of the Magus world, Sword God in the World of Magic, I will make a video on these 2. Monarch of Evernight, especially on this one. Each of these has some similarities in their DNA. A flawed lead in a world riddled with danger and decay. In short, many of today's best-selling web novels are grit, core, blood-soaked, uncompromising adventures with heroes who do bad things just to survive. Now, why is this so good and why do these characters resonate today? I mean, because they're flawed, anti-heroic, and most of all, human, which makes them feel more authentic and relatable than the perfect paladins of older fantasy. Sunny from Shadow Slave isn't noble or pure-hearted. He's streetwise, he's been around, you know. Nick from Kill the Sun literally starts off with nothing but the clothes on his back. He tries his best not to be consumed by the ever-present circumstances. Like broken protagonists in broken lands speaks to readers. I mean, it speaks to me, who are tired of stories about perfect heroes and having too much of an easy path. I want grit. I want a character that has to claw its way out, has to fight, has to be cunning, street smart, and knows the dangers and the darkness in the human component, and also the good side of the human condition. These type of stories excel at mirroring the complexities of the world we live in. Its heroes aren't saints, but people making impossible choices under pressure in a deadly world. We see them feel fear, doubt, or guilt just as we do. They make mistakes, they wrestle with their conscience, seeing them survive betrayal, despair, and trauma, and even push forward. In short, we connect with their scars. Another part is the moral ambiguity. None of them are purely evil or purely good. They live in the gray. Although in these novels, they all tend to lean more towards the good side, instead of Kill the Sun, even Kill the Sun and Reverend Insanity. Now, about my favorite part about these dark tales, the atmosphere, combat, and grit. Beyond characters, these stories plunge us into harsh, immersive, dying worlds and make us feel every struggle. The combat is brutally realistic and gripping. You feel the blood, pain, fear, and horror that make violence feel real. I mean, this is especially good if you happen to fight and partake in any sort of fighting sport like I do. In other words, fights in dark fantasy are like fights. They are chaotic, dirty, and terrifying brawls. Shadow Slave is exactly famous for this. Kinda like Dark Souls fights. They survive just barely. They scrape by, surviving only by strategy, skill, and exploiting each enemy's weakness. Every injury, near-death experience leaves a mark. And it's just straight badass. In most of these novels, they are constantly faced up against impossible, insurmountable odds, and every day they have to try their best to not die, not to win, to just survive. It's a dying world with dying people because of the adversities they are put through. And when they win, you see how hard fought that victory was. And the world building, oh man, I love me a dying world, like a bleak, haunting setting that oozes atmospheres like Think cities lit by toxic wrecked skies, ancient forests crawling with nightmares, or desolate wastelands consumed by fungal rot. The ambience is so vivid you can almost smell the blood and ash. Unlike bright, high fantasy kingdoms, these worlds are in decay or in crisis. It keeps you on edge. And magic in these stories isn't just fun fireworks. It's often forbidden, cursed, or comes at a terrible price. Every spell could backfire horribly. Every artifact might be cursed. Every monster has a horrific secret. Take Lord of the Mysteries universe, for example. It's filled with cursed potions and terrifying eldritch artifacts that can drive one insane. Power has a cost every time. And in Kill the Sun, it's even worse. You have to be tortured every day in order to gain power. Talk about mental fortitude. I can't properly explain the feeling, but in these tales you're constantly engrossed, but always wary of what's lurking just out of sight. This tension and mystery, the sense that anything can happen, provides an almost addictive adrenaline rush. Not quite adrenaline, but yeah, you get the gist. There are hidden lore and secrets to uncover. Lorehounds like me love piecing together these worlds' backstories from subtle clues. There's also this grim, I can't get enough of a grim aesthetic appeal that draws people to games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. The beauty in Decay. In these tales, the combat is intense, the world is immersive, and the tone stays gritty and grounded enough that we feel that we're right there strolling alongside the characters. And in today's day and age, it's a fucking banging. So that's why I think dark fantasy is making a comeback. And thank fuck, because I'm running out of tales to read. I'm running out of dark fantasy jams, like dark, gritty, you have to struggle to fight to survive every day. Tales like this, I love them. So authors, if you're watching this, please give me some more gems. Especially you, Worldbuilding. You make some pretty good novels. So there you go, guys. See you next time. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.